Hello, everyone, and welcome back today. Today is Monday, January 27th. It is noon here on the East Coast, and you are currently watching the Skill Building Monday Drawing Group here live on the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. I am your host, Jason Leeser. If this is working for you, please drop us a comment in the chat and let us know that you can hear me all right. And please tag a friend who loves tattoos. Maybe it's a grandmother or a friend or, a sibling or someone like that. Maybe it's someone who's trying to become a tattoo artist, or maybe it's just someone that's a fine artist that has an interest in tattoos. Tag everyone you know you think you might like this. And welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live streams, real world events, to share and inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help, have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. You can find Reinventing the Tattoo at www.reinventingthetattoo.com. And you can try it out for free. There's no obligation to get a subscription right away. We do offer three different options for you to try it out. The first option is to take a sample webinar from the Reinventing the Tattoo canon. Kind of gives you a behind the scenes look at what it's like to have a full Reinventing the Tattoo canon subscription. Our second option for you to try it out is to get some free advice from Guy Aitchison about goal setting and maybe some goals you might want to consider. And the third and final option to try out Reinventing the Tattoo is to take a comprehensive tattoo history course from Jay Brown. Now, for fellow tattoo history nerds such as myself, you can't go wrong with this option. It's really comprehensive and really goes in depth to the history of our craft. Highly recommend it. At reinventingthetattoo.com, you can find a full event schedule with full weekly and special event live stream details. For example, if you wanted to hop on to today's session, you could very easily go to www.reinventingthetattoo.com and click into our events area where you will find a full calendar with live links to join us here live during these broadcasts. You can also find access to our Reinventing 24/7 channel at reinventingthetattoo.com, which has over 13 different episodes playing at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is available on all web-enabled devices. So if you have access to the internet on your device, you can definitely stream some of our episodes on the Reinventing 24/7 channel. We also offer a whole host of professional development courses and on-demand seminars from over 20 world-class tattoo artists. Artists such as Andre Malcolm and Bob Tyrell, BJ Betts, and a whole host of others. They are all available for purchase at reinventingthetattoo.com. So head on over and take a look at that. You can also find us in both of the app stores, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, as well as our Reinventing the Tattoo YouTube channel, our Reinventing the Tattoo Roku channel, which has 12 to 15 different episodes going at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is available on all Roku-enabled devices. And you can also find us in all of the major podcast directories such as Apple and Spotify. Or you can do what most people do and just open your web browser and do a quick search for Reinventing the Tattoo, and it'll all show up. Except for the book, which is still currently out of print, unless there is a copy for sale on eBay. If there is, I highly recommend you purchase it because they are just going up in value. Just for like a future investment, kind of tip. Once again, if this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and in the chat, and please tag a friend who loves tattoos. Oh, and here comes Stella to join us today during the intro. Hi, Stella. We have a number of weekly staple shows we always encourage people to tune into, starting off on Mondays at 9 a.m. with Drawing for Tattooers, where we go through and we discuss basic drawing techniques and strategies, things that help us get back to our roots of being a fine artist in this tattoo industry today. Following that, at noon on Mondays, you have this show, which is the Skill Building Monday Drawing Group, live with me, where we go through and we try to focus in and harness some of our skills and help us really reach our full potential. And capping off Monday nights at 9 p.m., we have a subscribers exclusive drawing group with Sandy McAndrew from the Reinventing the Tattoo Network, where we get to go through and cover different chapters in the Reinventing the Tattoo canon every week. Now, I will say this, you do need a subscription to take the Monday evening drawing group classes. They are not free, unfortunately. I did them for about 2 years, and you can definitely notice a substantial increase in work from when I first started to what I'm doing now. I can tell you this from firsthand experience. It is absolutely priceless. You cannot go wrong. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really going to push you to be a better artist, to do better, and to draw faster, and to just really hone in on some of those things that, we all really need to work on from time to time. On Wednesdays at noon, we have the Tattoo Now show with Gabe Ripley, where we get to go through and get into the business aspect behind tattooing, whether it's travel visas or marketing and advertising strategies, whether it's, client retention or client communication, all of those and a whole lot more. That's all discussed during the Tattoo Now show with Gabe Ripley, and that's Wednesdays at noon. I would like to go through and thank some of our sponsors and some of the people that make these shows happen. Starting off with WorldTattooEvents.com, the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. They're constantly keeping everything updated. As we know, tattoo events and conventions are still getting rescheduled. Living in this post-pandemic era, you never know if things are still going to be going on when they say they're going to be going on. So take a look at WorldTattooEvents.com for the largest, most comprehensive tattoo event listing worldwide. If you're looking for a place to, take a vacation, take a look at the WorldTattooEvents.com website. It's typically how I plan my vacations. Pick a spot, find a date, see if there's a show going on. If not, you can always adjust the date of your vacation to coincide with that. That's usually what I do. So take a look, worldtattooevents.com. TattooNow.com, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in professional development, management, and digital tools for tattoo artists of all levels. They're 100% competitive with any type of CRM, mailing list, or scheduling software out there. So if you're really looking for the digital tools to help you streamline your client communication, to help you get more people through the door on a daily basis that really want to get the kind of tattoos that you really want to do, take a look at tattoonow.com. They have been an industry leader in this field, helping tattoo artists for over 20 years. Would also like to say thank you to, where is my next slide? Oh, technology. Gotta love it, right? Oh boy. There we go. And let's do. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties. Let's see. And okay, well, we'll just do this. Let's see. Okay, well, we're going to move right along. Would also like to thank Guy Aitchison at GuyAitchison.com. He's the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo. Go to GuyAitchison.com where you can pick up a copy of his Biomech Encyclopedia, some of his tutorial DVDs. I believe he still has a couple of custom coil machines for sale, as well as countless fine art prints and the occasional oil painting, all for sale at GuyAitchison.com. Would also like to say a very special thank you and shout out to Amy Nichols over at the Apprenticeship Diaries podcast. That is my usual source for when I have someone that comes to me that inquires about becoming a tattoo apprentice. Tell them, hey, go there, take a look, take a listen. There's absolute valuable information there. Highly recommend it. The Apprenticeship Diaries podcast with Amy Nichols. Would also like to say a very big shout out to tattoos.social. This is the #1 social media community dedicated to tattoos and tattoo artists. We have combined a whole bunch of different channels, and networks together to help create tattoos.social. In this, you will find a judgment-free community. It's a whole bunch of like-minded and welcoming individuals. It's without all the drama and negativity you find on other social media tattoo communities. We've got people in there like the Fireside Tattoo Network, Reinventing the Tattoo, Paradise Tattoo Gathering, and a whole lot more. And it's all available. It is free to join. So take a look, tattoos.social. As always, we ask that if you like today's show, we ask that you go through and post a positive review on the channel. Help us get the word out. If you would like to host a Reinventing the Tattoo event, become a sponsor of our community, or if you would like a fine art or a tattoo critique, you can always email management at reinventingthetattoo.com, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And that wraps up our intro for today. I'm sorry about all of the technical difficulties going on. I'm trying to do about 9 things all at one time here. Oh, you're very welcome. Creatures Cave just said, thank you for continuing my classes. Always try to. And I will keep doing it as long as, I am capable of doing it, or until they tell me. Whichever comes first. Who knows? Great. So I have someone reach out to me, and they wanted me to talk briefly about, in their words, they said, how to not think you suck based on comparing yourself to others. And what they're describing is imposter syndrome. We all have it. Okay, everyone has it. Every artist out there has it, no matter what level they're at. We all have it. I think I've only met maybe 4 artists in my life that don't have it. And those are people I just didn't really want to be around. They seemed like they had a little bit of an ego, so I tried to stay away from them. And in this game, you cannot become egotistical. You can't. It's ridiculous. We all think we're terrible. We're artists. We're always going to be our own worst critics. That is guaranteed to happen. It doesn't matter if you're Philip Liu or Bob Tyrell. It doesn't matter if you're BJ Betts. It doesn't matter if you're the artist that you most look up to. We all think we couldn't be better. And that's the name of the game. That's the nature of it. There is always something we're going to strive to improve. We know where every flaw in every painting and every tattoo is because we are the ones that do it. The important thing to remember is do not compare yourself to others at all. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Okay? And that is the biggest thing I can tell you. Anyone out there that's struggling with imposter syndrome, stop comparing yourself to other people out there. If you focus on yourself, if you focus on improving who you are and what you're doing, and just completely forget the rest of the world exists and only focus on what did you do yesterday and how can you improve on that. That will take you so much further than comparing yourself to other people that might be popular on social media, that might have a huge Instagram following, or might be big on TikTok, or maybe these are people that you see at conventions and they're just blowing you away with the quality of their work. I can guarantee you, if you sat down with them one on one and pulled up any single one of their tattoos and you ask them to critique the tattoo, they will find something that they could have done better. You might think it's flawless, but they will always be able to point out something that they feel like they need to work on. That is because we are artists. We know this stuff. We always have that bit of self doubt inside of us. One of my big influences, and someone that I get to work with every day, a very big mentor to me, my boss, Jay Rowe, once said, if you go home at the end of the day from tattooing all day long, and you don't just have a little bit of self loathing about the work that you did that day, just a little bit of like, man, I could have done that better. I could have done this better. I really need to work on that. If you're not beating yourself up a little bit after every day that you go to the studio, you're not doing it right. You're not pushing yourself hard enough, and you're not looking to improve or get better. And it's that constant striving to get better, that constant striving to improve and to advance and to, just become better than we are yesterday. That's what's going to help separate us out in the long run. We might think some of the stuff that we do is decent or okay. Some of it we might even think is good, but we can always find the flaws in our own work. That's why it's helpful to have a community of artists and a network of other artists you can reach out to. If you reach out to them and you say, hey, I'm really trying to get some feedback here. I'm really, I know what I think I need to improve upon. What do you think I need to improve upon? What are your thoughts on this? What would you suggest that I work on or work to improve upon a little bit more than, what's already in my own head? Um, that's why being part of a bigger community is vitally important, right? Because without that outside perspective, we might think that we need to work on our lines as opposed to, our color packing. But we may ask someone that, is part of our network that has a different perspective, and they might say, well, your lines are decent. Yeah, I wouldn't, I'd say, maybe just vary them up a little bit, but, maybe you need to work on your contrast a bit more. And it's like, oh, well, I didn't notice that, right? Don't be afraid to reach out to other people in this community. We are the most welcoming people that you can ever imagine. I've had people that I've never met reach out to me and ask me to critique a design or to critique a tattoo that they've done to help them point out things that, maybe they could improve upon or maybe they could build off of. Things that, maybe they aren't seeing. I do the same thing with people that are in my network as well. And I'm never afraid to reach out to them, and send people like Guy or Bob Tyrell or, whoever, tattoos that I've done and ask them, hey, what can I do to make this better? What can I do to improve? What am I not seeing? Because this isn't to the level that I want it to be at. What can I do to take it another step closer to that? You know, don't be afraid to reach out. That's why we're here. All of us are here to help each other. So why not take advantage of that? And we're not going to say things just to break you down and, beat you up or criticize you just for the hell of it. No, if we're telling you to look at something, it's probably because we see something that needs to be improved upon. We're not telling you that out of malice. We're telling you that because we see your potential and we want you to do better. That's all it is. I also had someone reach out to me that says longevity within this craft. Once you're no longer young and cute in the game. Now, I have never really been, you know, I'd say the cute one in the studio. I'm not saying I'm not cute. I think I'm pretty cute, but it is what it is. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine. But once you're no longer young and cute in the game, once you no longer have that kind of uh, fresh perspective or that youthful energy behind what you're doing, you can still find longevity within the craft. That is without a doubt. The trick to being a tattoo artist, and I may sound like I'm repeating myself here, the trick to being a tattoo artist and having that kind of longevity where you're still tattooing 20, 30 years down the road and you still have an established clientele 20, 30 years down the road. Part of that is customer service. Part of that's your art. Are you constantly improving? Are you constantly, trying to push yourself to do better and be better? Are you failing regularly? Because if you're not failing, you're not even trying. Um, what are you doing to become better every day? And it's that constant improvement that's really going to shine through in your work. But a lot of it also comes down to customer service. Are you building those client relationships that are going to stand the test of time? Are you getting people in and tattooing them and then tattooing their siblings and then their aunts and uncles and grandparents? And, next thing you know, you've got extended family members flying out from other states to get tattooed by you just because you've become the family tattoo artist. Or one person that sends literally all of their friends your way, that shows up with their friends, and says, "Hey, do you mind if I swing by and bring so and so? They're trying to talk to you about getting some work done." Great, absolutely. Come on by whenever you want. If I'm mid tattoo, cool. Come and talk to me while I'm working on something. As long as it's an appropriate tattoo in an appropriate place. You don't want to make your client that you're working on that day uncomfortable, so try to clear it with them. But build those client relationships. I was talking to one of my coworkers the other night. I told him very bluntly, like, I try to treat every single one of my clients like they're a dear friend of mine. I want to build that kind of friendship with my clients. And to the point that I've been tattooing some people for 15 years since I first started. I get invited to their kids' birthday parties or their weddings. And, I'm upset when their parents or grandparents pass away. Like, I've built that kind of a bond with some of my clients to the point that I have people that reach out to me that I haven't tattooed in years just to check on me and just see how I'm doing. You know, by building those client relationships and by building that customer service level up to that point, you will retain your clients and it will become a lifelong thing. I'm not trying to say, you have to befriend every single one of your clients. Maybe someone comes in, they really love your artwork, but they just really don't have the kind of personality you jive with. That's fine. Tattoo them, give them a pleasant experience, you know, and, thank them for coming in. But maybe you don't go to their kid's birthday party if they invite you. Maybe, you try to keep them a little bit further out than arm's length. Um, there's obviously going to be people in this world we don't get along with. That is a given. There are going to be people in this world that don't understand who we are and maybe don't want to understand us on that level. That happens, right? But there's also a large portion of people out there that, maybe they're looking for a friend. Maybe they're looking for someone that they can just hang out with and chat and, hit them up every now and then and say, "Hey, yo, I'm heading out to an art museum. You feel like going?" You know, um, obviously, You have to be careful when doing things like this and building a friendship with your clients. You don't want those friendships to be misconstrued as anything but a client artist friendship, right? Because that's where maybe you develop jealousy with a significant other, maybe your client is reading into it too much. You want to be very careful about that as well, but cultivate at least that kind of a professional friendship and that professional relationship. I've even told some of my clients' friends that, just stopped in with their friend to get tattooed. Um, and I'll comment their work. Oh, that's really cool. Who did that? Oh, it's really good work. If you're happy with who you're with, keep going to them. They do a great job. Obviously, if you want to branch out, here's my card. Give me a holler. Or maybe it's someone that's being deployed overseas and they're in the military. Great. Give me a call. Let me know wherever you get stationed. I will find a tattoo artist for you in that area that does great work and is a great human being, right? And I'm more than happy to do that because for me, tattooing, being a tattoo artist and being that kind of a person that has that kind of a professional client relationship doesn't just stop when the tattoo is done. That is a continuous thing. I have clients of mine stationed out in San Diego. One of them hit me up, said, "Hey, I'm trying to get tattooed. Do you know or recommend anyone in the San Diego area?" Absolutely. Let me send you a list of places to go that I know all of the artists personally. I know their work is phenomenal. I know you will not be disappointed with the work that you get done. And I sent them a list of other artists to go to because they were not in the area. Same thing with, other people I know that maybe they decide to pick up and move to a different country or a different area of the country that they're in. Cool. Let me know. I will be more than happy to do some research and find you a great artist to get in with in that area. Because for me, it's not necessarily about, am I going to be the one doing the tattoo? Oh, well, if I'm not, then why would I bother? No, it's about supporting a community as well. And when people see that, they understand why you're really doing this. So that's my comments on that. Um, I had planned on drawing some snakes today, or maybe doing some 3D layout. Not sure how many people are still watching. If you are still watching, thank you for continuing to watch. Um, but yeah, let me go through and pull over my iPad, and maybe we'll do a bit of sketching today and work on some stuff. Um, Stella is still back here. I don't know if you can kind of see her head and face, kind of like right back here. See that little white speck? Yeah, that's Stella. Yeah, she's gonna be my drawing buddy today. Um, yeah, but she's kind of leaning against me, so I hope she doesn't jump off, because that would not be fun or good for anyone. All right, so let's go through. All right, so I've been working on coming up with some concepts for some snake paintings because this is the year of the snake in the Chinese zodiac. Um, I think I'm going to start off. Once again, this is being done with the snake kit from Tattoo Smart. I love this kit. It really makes drawing snakes pretty easy. I am drawing in an oblong kind of format because I want to turn these all into maybe some 6 by 12 paintings or 12 by 24, 10 by 20, anything with that kind of a 2-to-1 ratio. Um, just because I find it to be very pleasing to the eye. And if you do a whole bunch of smaller ones, you can kind of put them right next to each other and put them all in one frame, and it looks really cool. So just some food for thought there. I'm going to start off with like a light teal, but I have tinted my background, so it's not a perfect white. It's going to be almost like a light gray. And that's simply because I want to be able to see what I'm drawing, but I also don't want to like blind you guys, so hopefully this helps a little bit. Okay. So I always like to start big. No, that's going to be too light. You guys aren't going to be able to see that. Let's go. Don't like the way that's looking. Let's try. Too round. I'm kind of picky with the way my snakes move. I have a pretty definitive way that I like them to like flow. And if you look at a lot of the snakes that I draw, I'll switch over to like a sketcher. Yeah, that'll do. And we'll switch up. So I've always found going with like a rocking motion tends to really make for a much more dynamic composition. So I'll try to take this and like rock it back and forth. It really gives you that nice kind of S shape and flow to the body, but it definitely gives it a much more fluid kind of movement. What are you doing? You're falling away from me. You're not going to be able to stay like that because I'm not going to be able to stay like this, Stella. So you better get comfy. Um, sometimes I'll throw in like some loops and some softer curves. Are you going to give me an attitude? Really? Really? I'm literally not doing anything, Stella. Why are you giving me attitude? Oh, I love her to death. And if she wasn't so cute, all right, you're going to fall. There you go. There you go. Good girl. Boop, boop. My little drawing buddy. So I will occasionally, this snake I want to have moving in this direction, kind of up. And because of that, I'm going to want to make sure that I've got multiple levels of depth. So maybe I'll take this one. This one will be a little bit of a softer curve. And then I can do a little bit of a sharper spin here. Just to kind of move things around and create more of a um, dimensional flow. So I've got, if this is coming forward, this would be moving backwards, right? Now, when it comes to this junction over here, I have a choice. I can either bring, and let me draw on a new layer so that it's a lot easier to view. So as I mentioned before, if this is moving forwards in this direction, and this is moving backwards in this direction, this part here is going to be following this line. So this is going to be further back than here. But then this juncture point will give me an option. I can either take the body and I can move it in front of this area or behind this area. For example, If I was to go through and move it in front of this area, I would actually take my body, right? And I would give it a sharp twist here. So if this is our center spine line, which I always recommend you map out whenever drawing your snakes, it helps you with shading, your value, your light source, as well as the general body form of the snake. So I could either take this area here and give it a sharp twist, and that would be something like this. If this was the underbelly, here. So I could give this a sharp twist, right? And bring this forward and then backwards again. Okay, that would be option one. Option two would be to take the same snake body and bring it backwards, tuck this area, this next junction point, or hard turn, if you will, and I can bring it back behind this segment. Okay? Now, if I do that, what I would typically like to do is then bring another overlapping element in front to really push this area backwards in space a bit more. If that makes sense, hopefully it does make sense. But then what you're doing is you're saying, okay, this area here, and I'll switch over to, let's do a different color. We'll do orange. Okay. So if we have one area here, right? If that's 1, 2, 3, and then 4, by doing this, it pushes 3 further back than 2 and further back than 4. And it allows 1 to come forward even more. So it creates an automatic sense and level of depth whenever you're drawing your snake. Because if 3 moves back further than 2, right? And then 2 would just be a bit lighter if we're looking at value. 1 would have barely anything, right? And then 4 would be on the same level as 2 because we're coming forward on our visual plane. So now it's going to create that automatic 3-level sense of depth when I'm drawing a snake. If I were to reset and I were to bring segment 3 over here, and then say down and around, 1 would be the foremost, most coming towards you. 2 would be back 1 level. Where's my teal layer? So if I were to bring segment 3 forward and then backwards for segment 4, that would almost create like it wouldn't give you quite as much of a level of depth whenever you're drawing your snake. So it can very easily be misconstrued that segment 3 is going to be at the same level as segment 1, right? And then that's going to take focus off of segment 1 where we want our head to be. So by pushing that back further, it's going to really force our eye to really see that this snake head is moving forward in space a bit more. So just some simple kind of concepts for you to like lay out some snakes. A little makes things a little bit easier. Um, I'll probably hide that layer and then do another snake body. Sometimes I like to throw a crazy curve in there. Just because it can be fun sometimes. Sometimes I'll throw a very loose curve. And then maybe I'll have the head of the snake, maybe facing in this direction. That could work. It's one of the things I love about snakes is that you can get them to move in any way you can imagine. Um, Maybe I want the head to be in the middle ground. Oh, quiet. If I want the head to be in the middle of the painting, which I don't typically do, I could do something like that. Going based off of our rule of thirds and our golden ratio or golden spiral or Fibonacci spiral, ideally I want to have my snake head somewhere in this area. It's going to make it very visually pleasing, and it's going to give me a very good focal point that I can use to draw the eye around to that point. If I don't put it there, I can put it here, I can put it down here, or over here. An easy way to remember this is look at the intersection of lines if you're using your rule of thirds grid. Rule of thirds grid, and I actually have, well, at least I thought I had it in here somewhere. As you can tell, I've got quite a few brush sets that I like to play around with. Golden ratio, there we go. I have no idea where I got this brush set from, but it works pretty well. I had another one, I think it was under Essentials. Yes, this is the Essentials brush set from Tattoo Smart, and it's got a rule of thirds grid. So if I were to stamp that and then blow this up to have this be our rule of thirds states that you have 1/3 in the middle, you have 1/3 to the left, and 1/3 to the right. Okay? These are going to give you some really, really good focal points. Now, if I were to overlay a golden spiral over top of it, keep our ratios. We put it right towards the middle. We intersect it. We can see exactly where that golden spiral is pointing our eye. So that would put us right at that third, or if we flip it, it's going to be right at that third. If we flip it vertically, it's going to be right down there at that intersection. And once again, it's going to be over there at that intersection. So it's a really good way to go through and kind of plot things out when you're composing a new painting or a new tattoo. And this works really, really well if you're planning out large pieces as well, if you're looking at a whole sleeve, I can point out golden spirals in some of the most successful sleeves that you have ever seen done. And that it requires planning, it requires thought, and it requires, an extra level of, okay, what do I really want people to look at? How do I want them to look at this piece? Do I want them to look at the head of the snake, the body of the snake, the tail of the snake? Maybe I don't want them to look at the snake. I want them to look at a skull that's in the foreground, or a rose or a chrysanthemum that's in the foreground. What do I want people to look at? And then I'm going to prioritize what do I put where based on what I want people to look at the most, right? And a lot of that has to do with a lot of planning and a lot of just thinking about it before I ever start drawing. You get a lot of really great artists that are out there. Look at Guy, look at Jeff Gogwe, look at Russ Abbott, look at any major tattoo artist that's been around for a really long time, and you can see them directing your eye to look exactly where they want you to look, right? You might not even be conscious of it, but they will definitely point you to exactly where they want you to look. Whether it's the head of a snake or a dragon, or maybe they want you to look at a skull and not necessarily the background. There's a lot of different ways that we can control where our viewers look. And once you understand those tricks, it will help you to put more focus to that specific area. Whether it's, say, a butterfly and flowers, right? If you keep all of the flowers in the background very soft edged, no hard outlines, just kind of very blotchy blobs of color that are very abstract, and you put this crisp, clean butterfly in the foreground, that butterfly is going to stand out over everything else because it's got the most detail and it's the most clear image. In our mind, that tells us that that is a primary element that we need to be paying attention to. So it's little tricks like that, but when you combine that with things like the rule of thirds, the golden ratio, the golden spiral, perspective tricks, you really start to create this dynamic back and forth with perspective and the viewer and where you want the viewer to look. So it's just something that I always like to take into consideration, especially when I'm drawing things that move around a lot. I always like to try to go through and, really factor that in before I ever start sketching. Sometimes I'll go through and I'll start sketching and I'll overlay a rule of thirds grid, and I'll be like, oh, well, gotta go back to the drawing board on this one. Definitely not turning out the way I want it to. But whenever drawing snakes, I've always found that having some soft curves and then some hard shifts makes for a much more dynamic composition. And I can't take credit for that, by the way. There was an artist many years ago, 12 years ago to be exact, Kevin Stress, who at the time I believe worked at Red Tree Gallery out in Ohio. What's up, Red Tree? How you guys doing? And he wrote a book called The Year of the Snake, where he talks about creating more dynamic snake bodies and snake movement. And it absolutely blew me away. What he would say is by categorizing and by having a soft curve mixed with a hard turn next to a soft curve is really going to give you a really good dynamic flow when it comes down to drawing your snakes. I will probably be covering snakes quite a bit this year because it is the year of the snake. And so if you guys decide that, maybe you're tired of learning about snakes, just tell me. But I'm also an advocate of if you can draw a snake, you can draw a dragon. Different heads, different arms, and whatnot, but the bodies typically tend to move in a lot of the same ways. You'll see a lot of very soft flowing curves next to some hard shifts, next to some other soft curves, next to some other hard shifts, because it keeps your eye moving and it keeps your eye guessing what's going on and where. And that creates for a more interesting visual dynamic than anything else. Because the human eye wants to make sense of what it is you're drawing. It needs to. It's like an innate kind of perception or an innate kind of compulsion that the human mind has is to make sense of what it is we're looking at. Stuff like this that's a little too busy, not a fan. Sometimes I'll just sit down and I'll just draw a whole bunch of different bodies and body shapes and curves. Once again, not a fan, bit too busy, bit too chaotic, too many sharp turns too close together. But it did give me some inspiration. So maybe I'll take this and I'll create a sharp turn and I'll bring it back down and around. That's a bit better. It's a bit more open, a bit too bunched down at the middle portion. Once again, a bit too bunched in certain areas. Maybe I'll go back to just drawing a thinner body. Maybe something like that could work. It's a bit more spread out, a bit more spaced out. Could definitely work well. I think for these paintings that I'm going to be doing for the Year of the Snake, I think I want things to be a bit bigger. Um, maybe something along those lines. Maybe not too much of a fan of that. Maybe something like that could work. It is still a little bit busy and a little bit bunched, but it would give me a good start at least. Maybe I will take some of these and make some prints. Who knows? Not quite sold on anything just yet. Did want to open up the floor for any questions. If anyone has any questions about anything you want me to discuss or talk about, by all means, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll probably be wrapping up in just a few minutes. I do have, once again, quite a bit of stuff I have to get done today. So, yeah, just trying to make sure I got time for everything. This one would be a nice possibility. Definitely leading your eye around. I think it's a little too open down at the bottom. So if I'm ever planning out and playing with snake bodies, one little habit I've gotten into is I'll take a body, maybe I like a certain part of it. So I'll take the opacity down. I'll create a new layer over top, and then I'll kind of retrace the area that I like, and then draw a different part. This way I can keep that part that I really like, and I can work with it as opposed to trying to redraw everything again. That one's a little too bumpy. I typically don't do too many like loops whenever I draw snakes. If I do, they're pretty tight loops, just because I'm not a huge. To me, they're not very visually interesting. Um, Not that they can't add to a piece, but they're just not the most interesting to me. Maybe I'll take the same concept and I'll move it around. I could even take this and then create like a little tail moving backwards. So I'll hide that layer underneath, create a new layer, and I'll do it again. Maybe smooth it out a little bit. That could be a fun snake. I mean, I could also kind of end it a little bit differently. Maybe just bring the tail up a little bit more. Almost like a rattlesnake getting ready to strike. That could be cool and fun. I like that one, so I'll hold on to that one. And what I will typically do is I'll go through and I'll select a lot of the layers below it. And I'll delete those or I'll group them. This way I can kind of see the progress of my creation of these snake bodies. And I'll hide that one and I'll draw another concept. Now maybe this one. Nope, not a fan. Hmm, better. I can do better though. Getting there. Maybe I'll slide the head down a little bit. Hmm, getting there. I almost feel like this one's too static because it's got too much that just kind of crosses and moves around. That one's a little bit better. Could have the head down in the middle. Not typically what I like to do, but not bad. I can do better though. Now we're getting somewhere. Still think it's a little too straight across there, and this has too much of a right angle kind of look to it, and this is a little too straight down. So what I would really ideally like to do is take maybe the head and move the head down here to create more of a diagonal angle up. Even if I have to go over to the side and then down more, I think that would give it a lot more of a dynamic kind of movement. I could bring it back up, back over, and then back down. I think that would work a little bit better. So let's go through and see how that would look. So if I bring the head down here, up, close. Let's try this. Something like that could work. It still is a little bit too straight across at the top, but I could very easily go through with my liquify tool and move that around if I wanted to. Well, I'm going to wrap up here for today, everyone. Thank you for joining me on episode 182 of Skill Building Monday with me, Jason Leeser. It's been a pleasure as always. Hope you guys got something out of today's lesson. If you didn't and you have any ideas for future episodes or topics you want me to talk about, feel free to shoot me a DM right up here at Philly Inc. on Instagram. Or you can always email me, jason@reinventingthetattoo.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Until then, I will catch everyone next Monday at noon here live on the Reinventing the Tattoo Network for episode 183. And until then, keep your hands busy, keep it sketchy, keep it moving, and I'll see you guys next week.